Welcome to Salient Systems User Training. This video will guide you through the basics of using timeline review in CompleteView's Playback module. One of the standout features of the timeline review is its ability to simultaneously play up to 16 video streams, enabling you to compare footage from different cameras side by side. Coupled with the timeline's intuitive controls and user-friendly interface, you can quickly navigate through recorded video, and our exporting feature gives you the tools you need to export entire multi-camera incidents with just a few clicks. So let's get started. This is the timeline review feature of Playback, and it's divided into three main areas: the top menu bar, the left navigation panel, and the timeline review panel. The top menu bar has icons on the left side to switch between the CompleteView modules. If the icons are missing, they can be selected from the drop-down module menu. On the right side are icons that dynamically change depending on the software module you're currently in. In Playback, the icons navigate you to the different Playback areas, including our timeline review, search video, web views, export queue, and the main menu. The left navigation panel contains four sections: Views and Maps, Customs and Favorites, Servers and Cameras, and PTZ 360 controls. Finally, the Timeline Review panel contains a title bar where on the left side you set your search parameters including date and time zone, and video filters. And on the right side are controls that allow you to take snapshots, export video clips, trim and export clips, and reset the view. The area in the lower part of the timeline review panel displays any recorded camera streams and timeline controls when reviewing video. To start a video review, you'll use the left navigation panel to drag and drop maps, views, and cameras into the timeline review panel. The different navigation areas are expanded by selecting the plus icon, so you can see your maps and your views. And I'll start by dragging and dropping a map into the review panel. When I drag in a map or a view, it places the cameras associated with that map or view into the search field. It's normal for the stream to be empty until you actually perform the search for a video review. If I drag in a different map, it replaces the cameras in the search, and the same with any views. Any custom maps and views that you've created, and any views, maps, or cameras that you've added to your favorites list are available in the Customs and Favorites section. Just drag and drop any views or maps to search the video from those. And the last thing just to show you here is to clear all your cameras from the timeline review. Just select this reset icon up in the top right, and that will reset your view back to a default. You can also add additional cameras to any existing view. Here I have a 4-camera view in the timeline, and by dragging selected cameras into the empty space, I can customize the review. Reset layout. I can drag selected cameras individually into the timeline. Just drag and drop whichever cameras you choose. Clear layout again. If I hold down the Control key and start selecting cameras from the list, this allows me to multi-select. And once I have cameras chosen, I can drag and drop the selected cameras into the review. Clear the layout once more. If I use the Shift key on the keyboard and select one camera, I can select a second camera and we'll select the whole block. And then I can drag and drop that into the review. And just to point out, timeline review is limited to a maximum of 16 cameras. So if you drag more than 16 cameras either individually or if you drag in a view with more than 16 cameras like this one, it will trigger a selection screen that has thumbnails of the cameras, and you can select up to 16 of these cameras that you want to review. Once you've got your cameras selected, just come down here and choose OK, and it will place those cameras into your review search. When you've selected the cameras for your review, use the Timeline Review search settings to define your search parameters. Select the calendar icon to choose the start date and time for your search. The time zone icon allows you to change the time zone of the search. And the filters allow you to limit the type of recorded video returned in the search. Green is continuous, red is motion, yellow is alarm. Once you have your parameters set, select the search, and the timeline below will populate with the recorded streams. The timeline review displays the recorded camera streams in a view arrangement above the timeline bar. On the timeline bar, the playback indicator is centered on the time specified for your search. Below the timeline bar are the playback controls. Move to Previous Event jumps your timeline position to the previous motion or alarm recording event in the timeline. Jump Back moves your timeline 10 seconds backwards. Reverse plays the video streams in reverse. Play button will activate normal playback. Jump Forward moves your timeline 10 seconds forward. And Move to Next Event will jump your timeline position to the next motion or alarm recording event in the timeline. Forward playback speed can be adjusted from 1/2 speed to 8 times speed using the drop-down. The zoom level slider shows the current zoom level of the timeline in hours and minutes. The timeline can display a maximum of 24 hours worth of video and can zoom in to a 1-minute increment. Mouse controls can also manipulate the timeline. Rolling your middle mouse button in or out will change the timeline zoom level, and left-clicking while dragging the timeline left or right allows you to scrub through the timeline quickly. Now in Timeline Review, you can export video from a single camera or up to 16 cameras simultaneously. To begin a single export, select a camera by left-clicking the camera tile or by placing a check next to the camera name in the timeline list. With a camera selected, choose the appropriate icon from the Snapshot Export area. Snapshot will capture a still image from the playback stream and allow you to save that as a bitmap, JPEG, or print a hard copy with optional title and notes. Export Full Timeline will place the full timeline of the video clip for that camera in the export queue. The full timeline is determined by the video zoom level. Since the zoom level on this clip is 10 minutes, I would export the 10 minutes of video displayed in the timeline. If I zoomed out to 2 hours, then I would export the 2 hours of video for this selected camera in the timeline. Selecting Trim and Export lets you set the exact start and end times for the video clip export. Once selected, Trim and Export focuses in on the selected camera, and on the timeline you'll see a box with a start and end times. Drag the box to contain the video that you wish to export. And then choose the check mark to complete the export or the X to cancel the export. When you select the check mark, you should see a green toast window message indicating that the export was successful. Multi-stream exports can also be done from Timeline Review. You can select more than one camera by holding down your Control key and clicking on the camera streams in the Playback window. Or you can place a check in the column next to each camera's name. Once selected, choose the appropriate export function. With multiple cameras selected, choosing Snapshot opens a Windows Explorer to browse for a save location for the multiple images. Selecting Export Timeline adds the visible timeline video for all selected cameras to the export queue. Again, if your zoom level is set at 10 minutes, then the clips added to the queue are 10 minutes, and the same is true for a 6-hour timeline zoom level. Finally, selecting Trim and Export will focus in on the selected cameras, and it will give you the box to indicate the video that you choose to export. Now, with multiple clips, you can also trim them individually. At the bottom near the export is the Trim Individually selection. When you select this, you'll notice that now you have 3 boxes and you can individually trim and cut the export time for each camera. When you have your exports selected, it's the same process. Come down to the bottom left, choose the check mark to finish the export or the X to cancel the export. And when you trim the video, you should see that same green toast message indicating that it was successful. And then you will return to the original timeline review. The last part of timeline review that we'll cover is interacting with individual camera tiles. Left-clicking on a camera tile selects it, and your cursor turns into a crosshair. Rolling your middle mouse wheel forward and back will digitally zoom the feed, and you can click to center the image on your crosshair. You can also use the PTZ control in the left navigation panel to control the PTZ functions. Each camera tile in Timeline View also has a right-click menu. Remove the tile will remove the selected tile from your view. Take Snapshot allows you to take a snapshot of the current image, save it as a bitmap, JPEG, or optionally enter a title and notes and print a hard copy. Export Full Timeline will take the zoom level of the timeline for the selected camera and place it into the export queue. Trim and Export does the same process as your Trim and Export feature in the top. It allows us to drag the sliders to capture the video that we want and then complete the export. Search by list and search by thumbnails takes you to the search video area of Playback, which is covered in part 2 of our Playback user training videos. And that covers the basics of using Timeline Review. Make sure to watch our other videos on Playback that cover our search features and finishing the export process from the export queue. If you found this video helpful, follow us for more user training videos. And if you have comments on our videos, send an email to training@salientsys.com. Thanks for watching.